Welcome to another episode of Str8 Up. I'm Victor Marquez. I'm here with your host, Neil Boateng and Rick Thorcell. And on today's episode, we have inventor Connor Moelmann. He's the inventor of the Stigmount. Connor, welcome to the show.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me here. I really appreciate it. Good to be here.
Glad to have you here, man.
Yeah.
Connor, thanks for coming, man. What's going on, man? How'd you come up with this catchy contraption?
Okay, so basically, what the Stigmount basically is, it's a universal Bluetooth speaker mount, and it's essentially the GoPro of speakers. So, for me, I really like to bring my music wherever I go, and these Bluetooth speakers basically they've got all the technology there. There's no wires. It's all battery operated, and one day we actually have my family owns a golf cart up in Wisconsin, and I wanted to just go golfing, and I brought my music with me, and every time I hit a bump, the speaker just went flying out of the golf cart. Now, it sounded really good, but I was really frustrated. And so I just kind of started looking around to see if there was anything on the market that, just basically like a GoPro for a Bluetooth speaker. And I looked around and I couldn't find anything. And it was just, suddenly the light bulb kind of clicked. And I was, at the time I was working on the oil rigs down south, and this idea just kind of took over, and I just couldn't stop thinking about it. And eventually I got laid off when gas prices fell, and so I went all in on this idea, and here I am today, almost about 12 months later.
So what made you go all in on this project? I mean, it sounds like a big transition going from working on an oil rig to suddenly saying, I'm going to become a phenomenal inventor.
No, that's a great question. So actually on the oil rigs down south, it wasn't easy down there. It really stuck out, especially coming from Chicago. As soon as you opened up your mouth, everyone would be like, "Where are you from, boy?" And I'd be like, "Chicago." And they'd be like, "Oh, you love Obama, huh?" I'd be like, "No." I mean, I just didn't fit in down there. The oil life just was not for me. And so, I watched Shark Tank. I'm always thinking of new ideas. And I was just like, you know what? That's got to be me. I hear about this guy on Shark Tank making $17 million making a sponge. I can do this too. And so when I went all in, after I got laid off, I actually did look for some new jobs, and people weren't hiring. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to do it myself. I've got some money saved up. I've got the idea. Let's just make it a reality. And so that's what I did.
Nice.
Okay. And how long did the creative process, or how long did it take to create the Stigmount? And did you have a team? Did you do this by yourself? I mean, how does that typically work?
So a lot of inventors, what you want to do is I did do it all myself at first. The idea was there. I knew kind of what it needed to do, but I didn't really know how it was going to work.
Okay.
And so a lot of the challenge was just figuring out a method to basically take a speaker and mount it onto a golf cart or whatever. And so when I originally started, what I wanted to do was build the mount into the bottom of a speaker. So I wanted to make my own speaker, or eventually just develop a mounting system to be built into a speaker. And then eventually I thought of the strapping method, which you see here. Okay, so when I originally thought of this idea, I wanted to make a mounting system that was built into the bottom of the speaker. Now, that's not an easy task because you have to change the entire product. And so eventually what I did here was I developed a method where you take a speaker that you buy on the market. Now, this is the Logitech UE Mega Boom, and you strap it to a base plate, just like so. And so on the bottom of the base plate, there's a patent pending locking mechanism, where essentially this is the mount. So this will be like a sticky pad onto a golf cart or a kayak, whatever. And then this locks into the mount just like that. And then that way, once this clicks in, you know that the speaker is locked and ready to go, and you don't have to worry about it falling out or anything like that.
Cool. So, what sort of challenges did you run across in trying to do something like this? I mean, patent pending, I don't really know much about patents, but I do know, at least, peripherally, that it's not an easy thing to get a patent, right?
Right. So, let me back up to your first question. So, one of the biggest challenges actually was just kind of, you go from working this giant company to trying to do something by yourself. It was a really weird transition. And it was really challenging at home too, because, my dad, he's a very successful lawyer, and he was really against this, and trying to convince him to do that
really
was one of the most challenging things. And I basically just said, Dad, sorry, it's not your life, it's mine. I'm going to do what I want. I don't have a mortgage. I don't have kids. I'm going to take this risk. I'm going to do it.
You don't understand it.
Getting a patent, it's actually, so patent pending is basically, I have this idea. I'm going to hire a patent attorney. We're going to draw it up. We're going to describe it. And I'm going to be the only one who can do this very specific thing. Now, you can have a provisional patent, you can have a design patent or a utility patent. I have a utility patent. This is on the locking mechanism here. So all it is when the mount slides in, this little latch right here will kind of spring load into place, just like that. My utility patent covers that. So that basically means that no one else can make a mount that works exactly like this. And my utility patent also covers the method of strapping the speaker down.
Okay.
And so you have 1 year for the provisional patent, and then you have to file for the non-provisional, which can take a couple years before you know whether you have it or not.
Well, I mean, you're an individual person trying to make something that's patentable, and how do you make something like this? I mean, do you have a factory, or what's the process that look like for making something like this?
So if I had thought of this idea about 10 years ago, I don't think I would have been able to do it. Everything you've seen here was actually 3D printed in my basement, and 3D printing technology has come a long way, and it's really amazing. So I have a nice computer, the CAD software, and 3D printer, like all downstairs, and I can basically just think of something, draw it up in CAD, send it to the printer, and within a day it's made or so, depending on the size. So everything you see here was pretty much just 3D printed, and then some of the screws and tape and everything, that's just hand applied.
How many different designs, I guess, did it take you, or how many trials did it take you using the CAD and 3D printing to kind of get exactly the look you were going for?
That's a good question. So I probably have about 35 different designs, and each design I probably printed or made maybe about 4 or 5 of them, and you just test, and you design, build, test. You find the mistakes, you find where it breaks, you find what can go wrong, how do you make it easier for the user. It's all about user interface, and it's all about keeping it really simple. So, the fewer things that can go wrong, the less likely you're going to have to recall it, or you're less likely, things are going to blow up in your face later. So you just basically refine it, and you make it simpler, less moving parts, less parts to be made for inventory reasons. And so it's just redefining, making it simpler, making it better, and just testing. That's all it is until you're finally happy with what you got. And actually, funny story, when we finally decided, so my friend Sam came in and he started helping me with some of the marketing and stuff. And Sam actually put these things on a surfboard, and one day I put them on a wave runner all around the same time. And about that time, I knew the design was about done, and both of us had to make separate trips to the ER because Sam had a horrible crash and just hit his head, just gashed it open. And I actually nearly broke my foot on the wave runner from a really bad wave that went off, but both times the speaker didn't come off. So, so I said to myself,
Testament
you know what?
Engineering.
You know what? It's good.
It's durable.
It's durable.
More durable than you.
Yeah, it is. You'll go to the ER before it breaks. So that's how I knew.
Good news.
That's how I knew it was good.
So what does marketing look like for this? How are you getting this the word out for this?
That is the challenging part, and so that's why I brought Sam in for marketing, because I'm an engineer. I don't learn marketing, and so the only marketing that I know is just from my experience shopping. What makes me like a product, what makes me not like a product. We launched on Kickstarter. We did a Kickstarter campaign, and unfortunately it wasn't funded, and just marketing for it was really tough, and getting traffic to go to your site was really difficult. It was a 45-day period, and by the end I had less than 2,000 views, and that's just, it hurts. It killed me. I could not direct traffic back to my site without, paying for all these advertisements and things like that.
Yeah.
And so that's what got me. There was nothing I could do, really. And I tried, hiring a couple separate PR firms, and it just didn't really work out. And it was really unfortunate because, it works really, really well. And the funny thing about Kickstarter and stuff is I saw a guy raise $350,000 saying he was going to be the first man on Mars. And I don't know how he did it, but I swear to God.
Well, maybe you should say that this could go to Mars. And
maybe.
You might get
I don't know.
Extra donations there.
And crowdfunding's starting to get a bad rep because a lot of these really big crowdfunded products they're not working out. A lot of them may be raising over $1 million, and then, they never deliver their products, they never fulfill their promises, and then, all the people who backed it are really disappointed, and then they won't back other projects that actually work really well. And so I kind of feel like maybe I fell into that a little bit. Maybe I was just kind of a victim of circumstance.
So, I mean, where's your mind right now after that sort of bump in the road?
Yeah. So actually, what's been happening is a lot of the speaker companies themselves have actually reached out to me about the mounting thing. And so the Bluetooth speaker market is pretty competitive, and they're always in competition with each other and always kind of copying each other. So for example, they're becoming more durable and waterproof. And so I think the next big step is improving portability, which is what the Mount does. And so they're always trying to be one step ahead of the other company. And so some of the companies have reached out to me because they see this as potential to help sell their products. And so I could potentially end up partnering with one of these companies, or even potentially building into the bottom of one of those speakers, which is a big investment on their part because they have to change the design. But that's probably the best method to use the mount in some cases. Not for this one, for this particular speaker, the round shape makes it better for the strapping method. But if you have a flat bottom, typically building into the bottom of the speaker would be the best method.
Okay. Like how much time a week do you spend dealing with all things related
before
to
Kickstarter? Probably 60, 80 hours. I was just on my computer all day, tweaking my design and everything.
If somebody wanted to purchase one of these, do you have a way for them to get a hold of it?
No, if someone, I have had a couple people ask if they could just buy one or have one. The 3D printing process to make this probably took me about 3 days, 2 or 3 days just to make one.
The 3D printer took 3 days to
the printer will take
something like that.
The printer will probably take maybe about 24 hours to make what you see here. And then I have to assemble it all. It's a pain in the butt for me. I have to have it. For plastic parts, you have to make injection molds. And those molds are really expensive. But then once you cast it, once you make the part, it's really cheap. So you basically have to have it's a big investment up front. But to answer your question, no, I haven't been able to sell any because each one I make costs me, this probably cost me about $20 to $30 to make. It works, but it's not production quality. So I have had to turn down a couple people.
Okay.
It looks production quality in the commercial.
I was gonna say.
What were some of the things that thing attached itself to in the commercial? I remember like a kayak. I remember the goalpost, the magnet. That was pretty
sure.
cool. What were some of the things in the commercial again that thing was?
Okay, well, there's a couple different mounts. So like the sticky pad, for example, is like what you use for everything. It's just like GoPro sticky pad, and you can put it on like a kayak, a golf cart. I put it on a wakeboard, a snowboard. What else do we put it on? Like an ATV, an off-road vehicle, just anything that moves, really. I put it on a lawnmower, and it actually works because these speakers are quite loud.
That's funny.
We have a handlebar mount, so if you're like riding a bicycle or a motorcycle, there's like strap mount, so you can put it on your backpack, or you can like wrap it around a tree just to keep it, out of the dirt, or to find that acoustically ideal position. And then we also have like a tripod mount, so you can just use any like camera mount, and also the GoPro mount can use any GoPro mount to mount your speakers too. And so you can put like a boat, you can put it on, if you want to go tubing or something, just floating down the river. You can use it wherever you want. I mean, there's really no limit. The magnet mount, we are probably not going to make that just because it's kind of dangerous. I mean, I have a fear of touching that thing and crushing my fingers. So the magnet's rated for 120 pounds, I think. So as soon as
don't want to get between that and
as soon as it gets near anything metallic, it just snaps.
So don't put it near Neil's head.
Yeah.
I don't think any of these mounts are Afro-proof. I like.
I'll
this,
make the pick mount. You can just put it right here.
The pick mount.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. And how did you come up with the name Stigmount?
Okay, so when you're coming up with a name, it's the most important thing is to come up with something unique that other people don't have. So, for example, when I was trying to think of names, I went through everything with a mount in it. So you want to have mounts in it because that's what it is. It kind of tells people what it is. But you type in Master Mount, you type in Mighty Mount, you type in Mega Mount, or just Super Mount, anything, Audio Mount, Sound Mount. All these names are taken, and people buy domain names, and they sell them for $5,000. And the other problem is, so for example, MightyMount.com. That was $11,000 if I wanted to buy that.
Wow.
But a lot of companies have products that will be called Mighty Mount. So if you Google Mighty Mount, you're going to get a list of hundreds of different products out there. And so I want to come up with a name that nobody else had. So when you type in Stigmount, or my name, it's going to be the first thing that pops up. And there's going to be no competition for that spot. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, I was thinking names for months. I just couldn't think of anything. The Moelmann was what I was going to go with for a while, named after myself.
Yeah.
But I was watching Top Gear, my favorite TV show, and they've got this race car driver called the Stig, who's known for driving fast and listening to music whenever he does it. And so I was just like, oh, Stigmount. Okay, let's just do that.
Nice.
Stigmount. That's how it came. Okay.
So what does the next step look like for you at this point in time? I mean, it costs a lot to manufacture and all that. It feels like there's a lot of a lot of balls in the air right now. You're waiting to hear back from people who may be interested. Are you looking for subsidies? Are you looking for a more official business partner? What will get this on the shelf? What do you think will get this on the shelf?
I think the best solution would be teaming up with one of those speaker companies. I think that's just the way to go. Selling this thing by myself would be pretty difficult because I've been talking to some of these store owners. I went to REI and I talked to one of the managers there, and he loved it. And he's like, you know what, but we just can't sell it. It's not something, we don't sell speakers. Why are we going to sell an accessory for that speaker? And so I think teaming up with one of the speaker companies is the way to go for this.
Your YouTube channel is called just Stigmount?
Just everything's Stigmount.
Everything is Stigmount.
That's the glory of the name. And what's everything? There's no competition for that name.
Okay, so for people to watch this commercial, they can search Stigmount. No one else has that name, so it's the first thing that's going to pop up.
Exactly.
Right?
Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, everything.
Perfect. Well, Connor, thank you very much for coming onto the show. I'm really looking forward to see what you do with this product in the next year. Hopefully another 12 months from now, because go by and it's all over the place.
Let's hope so.
But thank you for coming on the show. That concludes this episode of Str8 Up, and thanks for watching.
All right, thank you.